Hello, everybody, and welcome or welcome back to the second shelf and to my third tops and flops of the year. This time from July to bloop from July until and including September. And already I want to announce now that there won't be one from October to December. I decided already now because I'm going to do a tops and flops of 2025, and it didn't seem reasonable, a good idea to have one from the last 3 months. Doesn't make any difference, and you don't care, and you will probably have forgotten by the time, but this will be the last tops and flops for the 3 months. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next year. Maybe I'm just going to do one every half year. If you have ideas, I'm certainly not going to go back to once a month. I just don't have enough bad reads to have a tops and flops every month because I don't have any flops. And I know that a lot of you come here for the flops. So, but if you have ideas, what time frame would be a good idea, 3 months, 6 months, yeah, or just, when I feel like it. But I'm not yet happy with the format that the tops and flops take, but I do love the topic, so I want to keep it next year. Anyway. For now, it's the same as always. We have 3 tops, 2 flops, and we start with the book that surprised me the most. And if you have watched the last couple of videos, you're probably not surprised by this choice because this is Arundhati Roy's The Ministry of Utmost Happiness, which was published in 2017. And the surprise, of course, was I read this, by the way, with Joe Smith, one of our most devoted subscribers and viewers. The surprise, of course, was because I read this book, or I tried to read this book when it came out, 2017-18-ish. And I read, if I can remember, maybe around 100 pages, something, and I DNF'd it. I could not get into the book. I didn't understand anything, the plot, the characters. It was just not... I couldn't engage with the book for some reason. And because I read a lot of Arundhati Roy's, nonfiction after I'd last year especially, and this year, and I was really more into India. I read about India. I learned Arundhati Roy is an Indian author, but you all know that. And so I thought, I really, really like her. I want to give it another try. And I loved it the second time round. It helped that it was a buddy read with Joe, of course, but I just had no issue at all to get into the book. I mean, it is a kind of a weird setting. Most of the book, or a lot of big parts of the book, take place in a graveyard where our main character, Anjum, starts to live after she has a traumatic experience. I'm not going to go into that because that would just spoil too much. But Anjum is an hydra, so she is a true hermaphrodite with sexual organs, both male and female, and she lives, she is a woman. In her mind, she is a woman. Not in her mind, that's a stupid thing to say. But it's from the two possibilities when you look at her organs, she is a woman. So she lives as a woman, I think from probably when she became adolescent. And she first lived in with other hydras in a kind of communal house, and then something happened and she moved to the graveyard where she built a guest house. But then you have also other characters, Tilo, which is the Kashmir side of the story, who is three other men who are all in some way or other involved in Kashmiri politics. So it's a broad span of characters, but I didn't have any issue this time anymore with getting into it. I loved the way that Arundhati Roy was able to include recent, almost contemporary politics, like the early 2000s after 9/11 and what happened in India and elections and Prime Minister Modi. The way she incorporates this into the book is, I think, really brilliant, because it's not easy to have contemporary politics in a book without, at least for me, it has the risk of completely taking me out of the suspension of disbelief. But she did a great job. So I'm really happy, first of all, that I tried it again, and second of all, that I really loved it this time. So this was the biggest surprise in these 3 months. And as always, the second type of tops in the fiction is the book that I thought about the most. Incidentally, another buddy read with Joe. So, Joe, you're really in the tops for those 3 months for sure. And that was a translated work of fiction, Magdalena Blažević, in late summer, and translated by Andelka Raguš. Blažević is a Bosnian author, and this book is a tiny little thing, is one of by the way, I want to also promote this new publisher. Can you see that? Linden Editions, because it's beautifully made, but they also focus on translated works of fiction. So that's, if you are interested in translated fiction, Linden Editions is a good publisher to check out. I think they publish 4 books a year or something. So it's a small publisher, but still, I probably would not have found this author if it hadn't been for Linden Editions. Anyway, so the book is dealing with the Bosnian War, Croatian-Bosnian War, and war crimes in 1993-ish. The author focuses on one village, and we have our main character, whose name, of course, I forgot. I don't remember her name. I'm really sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. Badly prepared as always, but our main character is a girl, early teens, 12, 13, and the book basically opens with her telling us that she died, that she was killed in that incident, if you want to call it that, in her village that was raided and people were shot, and And I thought about this book a lot because, again, like with the Arundhati Roy, including politics, I think there are a couple of things in this book that I normally don't gel with. That is a teenage or child protagonist. Here it worked because she told the story as a dead person. So age does not play a role anymore, I felt. And that worked for me. But normally the dead person thing doesn't work for me either. But it did in this book. So I could have put this book in the surprise category. But I thought about how you can tell a very well-known story. Like, we know about the war, Bosnian War in the 90s, Kosovo, war crimes committed, all those various sides, Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, and make it, fresh. That sounds horrible because it's about death and war, but I feel it's really not that easy. And this book grabbed me by the way she told the story of this village. And I thought what was also really made me think a lot about the book was the fact that she did not the narrator, the murdered young girl, did not picture the perpetrators, the murderers, the shooters as villainous in a cardboard kind of way. It that was very nuanced, and as Blazevich herself is from that area and grew up during the 1990s, I thought that was really well done, and I admired that. But the thinking about this book is mainly because of the topic and how the author dealt with the topic and made it accessible by focusing on a small setting, but also by making it very human. So yeah, I definitely can recommend this book if you are interested in that type of topic, in that type of novel, because it's not an easy read for sure. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it was in my mind for quite a long time. And then the last category, as always, in the tops is the best nonfiction, which was difficult because I read a lot of nonfiction, especially in August, 30 books in 30 days. And most of my nonfiction, with a couple of exceptions, was really, really good. And in the end, I went for this book by Maria Popova, Figuring, because it was in a category of its own, I would say. I've known Maria Popova, I mean, not personally, but about her as an author. She's from Bulgaria, but she lives in the US because she has a website and a newsletter called The Marginalian, where she sends you a newsletter every Sunday and ruminating about books, about art, about science, about life. And I have a weird thing here in the... Oh, we'll just try to ignore that. So I knew of her. And then Adam from Memento Mori read this book and raved about it when we had Voxer check-in for one of our buddy reads. And I hadn't even... It was on my radar, but I forgot about it because it was published in 2019 already. And so I bought it. It's pretty chunky, and it is... If you want to... It doesn't do the book justice to put it like that, but it is basically biographies of various people in art and science, focusing on women, even though it starts with Johannes Kepler, who is obviously a man. And we have Emily Dickinson, we have Rachel Carson, we have Margaret Fuller. So it's known and less known, mostly women, like I said, and there's also, this is not quite, I don't know, people, we just roll with it today. But it doesn't do it justice to call it biographies, because the structure is very unique, and the way she tells stories about not well-known and less well-known people, and the big arc that she tries to present, how things are connected, even if they are not connected in the normal sense, that somebody meets somebody and then is influenced by that person. But it's like the cosmic connection of it all, and I really enjoyed that. I will say, though, the way she tells the stories of these people and the structure, it's probably not for everybody. You might want to check, a part of it and see whether the way of storytelling appeals to you. But for me, it was an absolute success, and one of the best nonfiction books I read in these 3 months. Okay, then I have, it really irks me that this thing is not in the middle. I'm such a Anyway, the flops, onto the flops. So those were the three tops, onto the flops. My first one I read on Everend, as it's called now, I think. So I will put a picture up here. And I forgot the public. Oh, it was published this year, yes. Elaine Castillo, Moderation. So it was a new publication. And I loved the cover. So it was... I didn't know the author. I hadn't read anything by her. I think she wrote one earlier, previous book, historical fiction. But I looked at the cover, and the premise was that it's set in this virtual reality world, so to speak. So moderation comes from our main character, Girlie, who is a moderator for a social media. So she goes through social media and has to flag stuff that is illegal, like child pornography or, things that are being removed from the platform. And she is very good at this job. And this premise just grabbed me because I thought that is such an interesting premise that, I tried the book. But it did not work for me. It was the beginning with the moderation and this world of, where you have to look at these horrible pictures all day long and then flag the stuff that is not only horrible but illegal. But in the end, it was just, and I don't mean that in a pejorative way, but for me, just a romance. I didn't gel with that plot. It's just not for me, contemporary romance. I thought the guy she fell in love with was beyond boring, so it just didn't work for me. But if you're into romance, you might like it. But on the other hand, if you are into romance as light read, the setting is not light with the whole moderation thing going on. So, yeah. The second book I just want to mention briefly because most of you, I guess, won't read German and it hasn't been translated in any other language. And that is Hey, guten Morgen, wie geht es dir? By Martina Hefter, which means, hey, good morning, how are you? And this won the German Book Prize last year. And I thought I give it a try. It's also kind of in a virtual reality because the main character is middle-aged, and she's married. Her husband has a chronic illness, and she goes at night when she can't sleep. She goes online, and there she is approached by love scammers. Those are guys, younger guys mainly, who approach women and then fall in love with them in order to get money from them. So that's the premise. I thought that was an interesting premise, but it was such an incredibly boring book with characters that were just like meh. And the whole scam thing was, it was just not interesting. And it again showed me that book prizes just often don't work for me. So yeah, this was not a success. But I tried it. Anyway, these were my tops and flops for July until and including September. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Again, I'm looking forward to your comments, and I will see you all soon in the next one next Sunday.